Hello everyone, I'm your lovely host Cinnamon Walkin. Trying to remember that I changed my name, but I decided that if well, honestly, if I was a girl and he was a boy and I was to reverse the situations and stuff and all that jazz, probably what I would do is if it was someone I really loved and cared about and I still had feelings for and I was still dreaming about them, I probably would actually go after and chase them and stuff, but I do like his childhood friend because I think she's super sweet and cute. And I don't know, like, depending on how this character is, I might choose super sweet friend later, but right now I'm gonna choose Kathryn, so see what happens. Besides, this is a demo, so I could always replay and change it because most of the time, depending on what you choose, it affects stuff. What the hell was that dude doing here? Wow, did I have an accent? Sorry, I have to go. I said briskly, jumped up and rushed for the exit. This dubstep music. Hallway. Stairs. Steps flying by. Lockers. Change my shoes. No time. I bumped into someone who lives. Schoolyard gate. Outside cars, people. I looked right, no one I looked left. Oh, there she is. Kathryn was standing next to the school fence, looking sidelong at me with indifference. It took me a few minutes to rush, she said coldly. Don't be so surprised, I knew you'd run after me. What else was I supposed to do? Oh, now I kind of just gave her what she wanted. Maybe I shouldn't have ran after her. That was at all how I wanted to begin the conversation. When you dash off after all these years? It's only been a year and a half. I guess, but still, you could have said something, a simple hello at least. Let's clear something up right away. If you think that I've come back because of you, you're mistaken. Why then? That is none of your business. Kathryn frowned. If that's the case, why did you choose this school? Why not? I've studied here before and it's a prestigious school. I was forced to acknowledge the logic in her words. On the other hand, Tokyo had more than one decent private school. Either way, she was sneering at me. I was starting to lose my temper. You could have at least said a word or two. You're acting like we never had anything. We never did. Ow. She replied, unruffled. Felt completely deflated. Had Kathryn had always been this cold and cruel and I simply never noticed? She'd been toying with me and my feelings, then tossed me aside like an out-of-style blouse that she'd grown tired of. Kata, don't be like that. Don't call me Kata. She never did like it when I called her that. Although she had never given a reason, it certainly had nothing to do with US-Soviet relations. Alright, Miss Kathryn, would you be so kind to as explain what's going on? She frowned more deeply. Kathryn-san? Maybe this wasn't the best time for her trying to be witty. Kathryn suddenly turned around and was about to leave. Without thinking, I grabbed her arm. Wait. Let go or I'm gonna scream. Go ahead and do it. I just want to talk. Do you really think I'm gonna believe this nonsense? I don't care if you believe it or not. Then who are you waiting for here? What if I hadn't come running? There was no chance of that happening. She answered more calmly and stopped trying to pull away. Let go of her arm. I know you. Ah, so you do know me after all, because earlier you were saying we never had anything. It's all in the past. I'm here now because I had to come back. My mother got sent to Japan again. I get it. All I want is to talk to understand. So what am I supposed to justify myself to you? Maybe you are. To be honest, this wasn't the first time we had quarreled. Perhaps before I just hadn't much of the fact accepting it lightly as par for the course. Only later, after Kathryn had left me, I had started reflecting to analyze. What if she saw things differently? What if every one of our rows had caused her real stress and anguish? But even if that wasn't the case, it was no excuse for acting the way she was now. If you're through with me, then at least be consistent. How do you know I haven't started a new life here? Maybe I was no longer counting on ever seeing you again. And now, you show up. You don't want to talk, yet you will always be around. That's an interesting situation when you've got like a yoke around my neck. I know how it's gonna be. I will have to continually endure your silent glares, even if they don't mean anything. Kathryn was going to say something, but I continued. Then I myself will start feeling guilty because of your silent reproach. You said yourself that you know me, so you must understand. And after all this, you're going to insist that nothing's going on and that you don't need to explain anything to me. You can think whatever you want. Okay, I see, so now we're going to feign innocence, aren't we? How long have I been yelling, I wondered. Passing students were glancing at me warily. The girls whispered among each other while the guys looked on in disbelief. After everything, do you wish to tell me that we've never had anything, that we have nothing now, and that we never will? The last part was clearly too much. I blurted out everything that was in my heart. Was I really hoping that we could get back together? It must have been. There was no point lying to myself, but it was one thing to hold out hope when Kathryn was in another country thousands of miles away, quite another when she was standing in front of me and treating me like a public enemy. She put on a barely perceptible smile, but I could see the contempt in her eyes. I just think I have deserved an explanation. It's useless to explain things to you, Kathryn remarked in parting. Whatever, this isn't over yet. We're in the same class now. Girl told her friend not to look my way as the two walked past. To hell with it, I hissed under my breath on my way home. Thinks she's so special. I've seen better. I was angry at Kathryn, really angry. We had quarreled before, but this time she was just treating me like dirt. If ever there was a good time to purge her from my heart, was it not now? A bunch of boisterous middle schoolers ran past me. One of the boys caught me lightly with his shoulder and said, "Sorry, Oni-san," as in, dude, man, Uncle Gramps. Did I really look that old? Although the way I've been reasoning just now, I wonder how long I'd be able to hold a grudge against Kathryn. Would I forget it and revert to an idolized image that clearly did not match the girl I'd just been arguing with at the school gate? Only after I got home was I able to calm down a bit. I like that I have a Kotatsu. Oh, is that an NES right there? I can't believe I didn't notice that earlier. I spent the rest of the day trying to futilely not to think about Kathryn. At this pace, I could really go crazy. Every 5 minutes, the phone rang. I didn't pick up because I knew it was Kyosuke. How else would it be calling when it came to that crazy otaku? I was lucky he wasn't pounding on my door. In the end, I simply unplugged the phone. Tried to keep myself distracted with TV and video games, but this got boring quickly. I even did some homework for a change, played the bass for a bit, and fixed myself a simple dinner. Needless to say, I would rather have eaten Himitsu's cooking. But she must have been busy. Not that Himitsu was any obligation to make meals for me on a daily basis, I just got used to it. Now that I was thinking about it, I realized that the habits had become an integral part of my life to the point where they started to take center stage in it. Kathryn's reappearance was starting to throw everything off balance. It was as if I had grown senile and flabby in the past year and a half, to the point where I craved stability above all. On the other hand, why did I need this upheaval in my life if nothing good was going to come of it anyway? Suddenly the doorbell rang. It was probably Himitsu, but at this hour? I slowly made my way towards the door, but halfway, thought struck me, why would Himitsu need to use the bell? Then it had to be Kyosuke, although it was definitely late for him. The evening routine for my well-fed friend was an anime and to bed. But whatever. However, there was nobody at the door at all. I looked around and walked outside, but the street was empty. Stupid pranksters. Yet someone had definitely been here, since there was a note on the doorstep, which I discovered on my way back. The note read, "Nicolo-san, be careful, you are in grave danger. Certain very powerful people linked to your father are after you. This is not a prank or a hoax." Whoa! That went crazy for a game. Or for this game. Yeah, sure. I suppose next I should have expected to find a busty magical girl in my living room ready to perform my every command. Kyosuke, I shouted. It's not funny. Why bring my dad into this? My parents, the incident. They fled the Soviet Union when I was 7. In Japan, they worked as regular engineers at the Kobayashi Corporation. After they passed, I had the option of going back to the USSR to live with my relatives, but ended up staying, seeing that I lived in Japan for most of my life. My father's friends helped take care of the legal formalities while his bank account kept me from starving. Kyosuke, I called out less confidently this time. The only reply I got from a neighbor who barked something about it being nighttime and Yamaya yelling. Well, maybe it wasn't Kyosuke, but then who? If the note was a joke, its authors had failed to deliver the punchline. And what if there was a simpler explanation? What if it was for real? Twiddled the note in my fingers. It was an ordinary piece of notebook paper, carefully clipped. The words were Japanese, written in a steady hand, although the spelling left something to be desired. Why write by hand at all, I wonder? Wouldn't it have been simpler to type, or in a pinch to clipboards from a newspaper and assemble the note that way, like in those cheesy crime shows? At any rate, Kyosuke could be ruled out. I would have recognized his handwriting. You're in grave danger, linked to your father. What if it were those punks? Just because their parents were loaded didn't necessarily mean that those brats had A's in Japanese. Perhaps Ellie-sama's servants had decided to take revenge for the cafeteria incident. No, that was ridiculous. You could ultimately want something with a simple Japanese student. Why now of all times? Right on the heels of Kathryn's return too. To be honest, I couldn't remember how good Kathryn's Japanese grades were. I couldn't remember her handwriting either, but I know she had spent considerably less time in Japan than I. Kathryn had been a decent, but a straight A student after a year and a half without practice. At any rate, she was the prime suspect now. It didn't even occur to me to ask what for her motives had stopped making sense to me long before this. Either way, I had to try to find some answers at the school the next day. But now it's for bedtime! Yeah! Because it's oyasumi nasai, sleep time, and all that jazz. I hadn't felt so worn out at the end of the day in a long time. Oh yeah, this has been like a whole day, right? But sleep didn't want to come, and I kept tossing and turning, and I was getting mad at myself for it. Meanwhile, the clock ticked past midnight. I flinched and pricked up my ears. Perhaps I imagined it. Not again. I hopped out of the bed, eyes scanning the room for anything I could use for self-defense. The base wouldn't do. I walked up to the door on stiff legs and asked in a shaky voice, "Who is it?" "Nico-kun." I breathed a sigh of relief and opened the door. Aw, do you know what time it is? Sorry, but your phone was off. So, is that a reason to turn up here in the dead of the night? No, but I tried calling several times and I wanted to know if you were going to school tomorrow. If you're so concerned about my attendance, you shouldn't wake me up in the middle of the night. I'm sorry. Suddenly I felt bad. Himitsu was just being herself while I was taking out my problems on her. She wasn't the one who had brought Kathryn back or left the note. Nah, it's me. I should be apologizing. It's been an awful day. I mean, it's been a tough day, very filled, and I was already asleep. Or wasn't asleep. I don't know. Trying to sleep at any rate. Okay, I'll be going then. Good night. I shut the door behind her and turned to bed. If today was tough, what would tomorrow be like? Zero 8.0.9 1987. Is he dreaming again? "100 bells are chiming with 100 melodies in my head announcing the morning." I agree. I'm hearing it way too loudly. The boisterous shouts as well as the fan, which had not quit humming for a second, the grumpy muttering somewhere close by. Oh, she's grumpy. The fixed gaze of large green eyes, the pouting lips, and the two red braids hold on. This had already happened before. I jumped out of bed, stared in bewilderment at Himitsu and blurted out, "What's the day today?" "Tuesday?" she replied, frightened. "What's wrong?" "Tuesday, huh? Alright then, let it be Tuesday." I scanned the room meticulously. The open notebook I had tried doing my homework in the night before was still in the same spot. This meant that everything was fine. It occurred to me that the new day hadn't arrived. "What do you mean?" "Well, like when you wake up and today is still yesterday, as in some sci-fi novel." "You read too many of them." Himitsu laughed. "So, could this time I choose not to chase after her? Because I might." Things did seem to be running their normal course, except I now became aware of a peculiar smell and I sniffed the air. "Is that—" "Yes, it is. I prepared it so I can just shove it in her face." A big pot of borscht sat on the stove. Good lord, but why? "Didn't you ask for it yesterday?" "No, I didn't. I just mentioned it passing. It was a joke." "Well, you know what?" she said I can't talk. "You're gonna have to eat this joke now." Soup for breakfast. Now that was certainly unorthodox. Himitsu had outdone herself this time. Suppose yesterday I'd let drop something about Forgotten in 1978. Shut to Margrux. Would they be awaiting me now, too? In any case, the borscht tasted quite good. Granted, it wasn't exactly a traditional recipe. Or is it repeating because this is a demo? Himitsu was sitting across from me, looking at me intently. "Why aren't you eating?" "I'm waiting to hear what you think." "Oh yeah, sorry, it's delicious." "Really?" She didn't believe me. "Yes, really, why should it be otherwise?" Himitsu tried the borscht. "Okay, it is good." "Now don't you dare complain about my cooking again." "When did I ever complain? You just don't get my humor." She's adorable. I do get it. Just some light-hearted banter it seemed, but Himitsu did not look her usual self. Ever so often a shadow of sadness passed over her face. Did something happen? "No, what about you?" "What about me?" At that moment the events of the previous day flashed before my eyes. The surprise awakening the borscht had temporarily made me forget about Kathryn and the note. "Everything's fine, just a bit unexpected." "Don't worry, I'll be alright." I don't think the day's repeating, but it does feel similar. "Good if you say so," she smiled. "Let's go, or we'll be late for school." Then again, I might need to rewatch my video. I might not remember everything. We exchanged only a few words along the way. Somehow we just couldn't find a suitable subject for conversation. I didn't want to tell Himitsu about the note just yet, and she probably hadn't had anything happen to her overnight that was worth sharing. Sure, I could have talked about some random stuff, but that wasn't my thing. Finally, we reached the school. "No incident today, I hope." I snickered. "Alright, I'll see you." "Don't sleep in class." That was my favorite subject to ever do in school. I loved sleeping. Himitsu smiled and headed for her classroom. But I think I am going to go to sleep in class if that's a choice. Like, if that is legit one of my choices, I'm going to do that. Okay, now I had to think of a way to snag Kathryn's notebook without anyone noticing. I hope she'd written something in it, preferably in Japanese. I was walking down the hallway, lost in thought when someone called my name. "Anokin-kun, hold it there." Is he gonna, like, karate chop punch me? He looks like the type. The school principal, what was his name? Sensei means teacher or doctor. Yes, Kiyama Sensei, was it? "Follow me to my office, please." What did I do? It's because of the fight the other day, but the class is about to start. I protested as though these kind of conversations were something new to me. It won't take long. Wiry old man in his 70s or perhaps even older, Kiyoma-sensei was always cloyingly polite and cold. Top of that, he dressed and carried himself in a strictly European manner. Had always been astounded at those Japanese who exhibited such obvious devotion to Western culture and the way of life. I could think of any number of sayings on the subject along the lines to thine own self be true. Although here this had been something of a tradition in its own right, this was after all an elite school. What's the issue exactly? It's love, money, and rock and roll. And that might be why it's called Love, Money, and Rock and Roll, because money, if it is about his parents and his money. Is he gonna kill me? I just thought about that now. Well, naturally, he wasn't gonna reprimand me in the middle of the hallway in the view of the whole school, was he? Dude, I look like such a rebel. We went into his office, but someone was already there. Ojo-sama and his young lady in Japanese. Oh. Did I do something? Well, if it isn't Ojo-sama herself. Standing next to the principal's desk was in fact Ellie-sama. Ah, the boy from yesterday. She seemed equally surprised to see me here. Yesterday's cafeteria incident came back to me in vivid detail. The madam did give me a kerchief in the end to wipe myself, and I tossed it to the dirty laundry at the house. Oops, I needed to return it. Let me guess, are you a frequent visitor here? She asked sarcastically. Well, I certainly didn't expect to find myself groveling at your Grace's feet today. This'll be all, Kobayashi-san. Kobayashi, the last name sounded familiar. Oh, is that who wants to kill me? Because I thought he said his spam worked for... Was it the Kobayashi thing? Ellie politely took her leave of the principal and walked past me, angrily flashing her eyes. So, Ano-kin-kun, do you know why you are here? I got a couple of theories. The principal sighed and gave me a sad look from behind his glasses. Ano-kin-kun, I understand that Japanese culture is alien to you, but here at the school we have students of every nationality. We endeavor to provide all of them with the best opportunities. In return, we expect the appropriate respect and adherence to the school rules. Here we go. Think you ought to understand this, especially considering your situation. What about my situation? Let's not make this personal now. No, what I meant... Embarrassed, he removed his glasses and began wiping them slowly with a special cloth. I wanted to say that we make no distinctions between our students. The rules are the same for everyone. I understand. In that case, you must also understand that you cannot just skip classes for no reason. He put his glasses back on and looked hard at me. And speaking of your attendance record, I understand. But if you understand, why do you keep skipping? Do you know who our school sponsor is? I shrugged. Kobayashi Corporation. This name does mean something to you, does it not?